So the plan was to make a second video about the adaptive division. Yeah, there's way too much to talk about. We're going to need 3 or 4. Well, welcome back to the channel. Once again, I'm going to be talking about the adaptive division. And first, I need to say a huge thank you to all the adaptive athletes that reached out to me, as well as their friends and family, sharing other stories, other experiences that they've gone through in the adaptive division, or many of them just reaching out to say thank you for highlighting what's happening in the adaptive division. And really on that note, the way you can help is if you like the video and you can like it, you can comment, just help the algorithm to push it out there so more people will see what's going on within the adaptive division. And of course, if you like what I'm doing, then please subscribe to the channel as well, because that always helps. So in the last video, we spoke about the fact that some athletes, it would appear, are in the wrong category, or at least that's what some people felt. And then there was this tricky situation of whether or not they could address that. Could they call them out? Was it bullying? Now, in a future video, I'd really like to talk about the rulebook itself and how perhaps it isn't being correctly applied by some people when they're signing up for the Open within these adaptive divisions, and also compare that to the vetting process in some other adaptive sports. Now, in the last video, I did mention that CrossFit had set up a board that would be vetting the submission videos to see whether or not people were eligible for those categories, and of course reviewing also the workouts themselves. Now, as of recording this, it would appear that the leaderboard has not yet been finalized, but what has happened, and thankfully somebody sent me this so I know, is that those in qualifying spots, as well as those just outside of qualifying spots, have been contacted and asked to provide evidence to support the fact that they are in the correct adaptive category. So that is a positive. We are seeing a move in the right direction here. But it also raises the question, like, is this the right time for that to happen? Should there not be maybe deeper scrutiny at the beginning when people sign up? Now, we might think, well, what does it matter? At the end of the day, the correct people are going to get to the games. But if we wanted to look at it, maybe in the way perhaps the majority of us see it, so maybe we just take the elite male individuals or the elite female individuals, for example. Now imagine you're competing in that division, you're pretty good at CrossFit, but you know there's a group of athletes in your region that are all doping. I mean, it's obvious, you've seen it, it's been, evident through their social media or interactions with other people. You know for a fact these people are using PEDs. And CrossFit gets contacted. Now, instead of doing anything about it at the time, they're going to allow them to compete in the Open, allow them to do quarterfinals, allow them to do semifinals, and then if they end up in a top spot in the semifinals, well, then they're going to do the drugs test. Now, how would you feel about competing against those people throughout that part of the season? Would you be discouraged? Would you think, well, why bother? What if they don't get caught in the end? Well, that's the situation for these athletes that feel they're going up against people that are wrongly in their adaptive category. But let's also flip that on the other side. Imagine you are an athlete who is being wrongly accused of doping. Would you want to wait to the end of semi-finals to prove your innocence? All that time, your name is being slandered. Surely you'd want the opportunity immediately to show that, no, you're clean and you belong competing with these people. Well, that's the same for some athletes that feel they are being wrongly grouped together with those that do not truly belong in those adaptive divisions. So it just seems like, in general, if there was more control in who was going in to these adaptive divisions on both sides, people would just be more comfortable to compete. And we said again in the last video that there's that danger that because people feel that it's not a fair fight, it's not a fair field, it just stops them doing it in the first place. And that's really the last thing we want to see happening. Now, something else that is happening, along with the review for eligibility, is the review of the workouts themselves. Now, we know they're being reviewed because, for example, Sarah Rudder, was mentioned in the previous video, who has been one of the most outspoken regarding the problems in the adaptive division, well, she's been getting some pretty major penalties for her workouts. In fact, she's taken to Instagram to express herself there, and the fact that, she doesn't care if she gets disqualified. She is there fighting for the athletes that are coming up behind her. So clearly she feels that there is something going on there, maybe something a little bit more nefarious behind the scenes. So all in all, maybe it feels a little bit late, but at least CrossFit are doing something. They're checking the workouts, they're checking for eligibility. And I will check back once the leaderboard is finalized, and we'll see if actually anyone was flagged up or if there's still doubt around certain individuals. But another major issue that really hangs over the adaptive division is the fact that they're just not getting the press that they deserve or that the other divisions receive. Now, I'm somebody who probably consumes a lot more CrossFit media than your average person. Yet it was only through conversations with adaptive athletes that I started to learn many of the stories or the things that were going on within the division. And it's one of these stories that I'd like to end the video talking about, because this is quite possibly one of the most heartbreaking stories for a competitive CrossFit athlete. In fact, it's very reminiscent of the Annika Greer situation. Now, we may remember that Annika's CrossFit Games season was cut short by a technical glitch. She thought she'd submitted a workout, but when she logged in, it wasn't there. Well, this is like that, only it's worse. So this is Kim. Now, as you can see in this video, Kim is, yes, an incredible athlete, and she also competes in the Adaptive Vision division. Now, what many of us might not know is that they don't actually get a ticket to the games. So for them, this final portion of the online competition, that's the end of the road for them. So this is their CrossFit Games. So she completed her third workout, she uploaded it, and later when she went to check the leaderboard, well, her score was gone. So due to a technical error, her workout was not submitted. Very reminiscent of the Annika Greer situation, right? Now, do you want the bad news or the kind of crazy news? So the bad news is if that score had been accepted, well, she wouldn't just be getting a ticket to the semi-finals. She would have won her division. What about the crazy news? Do you see that guy with a camera? He works for CrossFit. CrossFit were filming her throughout the duration of the competition. In fact, they were making a documentary on her situation. So despite the fact that there is video evidence by CrossFit themselves, speaking to Kim, she was telling me that no matter who she contacted, she was just being passed on to the next person, and constantly being told that there was no way that they would be able to reverse this decision. Now, despite how someone might feel about the situation, probably the bigger problem is that for the majority of us, we just didn't know about the situation. Everyone had an opinion on whether or not CrossFit were right in the way they treated Annika Greer. But why didn't we hear anything about Kim? So I still have a lot more to share on my experience speaking with these adaptive athletes. And I want to thank them again for reaching out to me. In fact, they've given me so much information that I'm having to kind of digest it in pieces and put out these videos a little bit at a time. But I definitely want to talk about problems with the signing process, problems with the programming that have been revealed, also quite a few positive things that people have shared about the adaptive division and what CrossFit is doing well. So please make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss those videos. I'd also suggest hitting the notification bell, as I'm a small channel, so you may miss the videos if you don't do that. So thank you so much for watching, for supporting the channel. Please share these videos around because I think the adaptive division needs a bigger spotlight shone upon it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in a future video.